Holy crap. Picture this. You're a mom, 37 years old, just dropped your 6-year-old off at school on a snowy morning in Minneapolis. You're heading home, minding your own business in your SUV, when suddenly federal agents surround you, guns drawn, and one of them unloads through your windshield. You're dead before anyone can even check for a pulse. That's not some dystopian movie. That's what happened to Renee Good on January 7th. And it's got me furious, because this isn't just a tragic accident. It's a symptom of a political vendetta that's tearing communities apart. Look, I'm a former prosecutor, spent years in the trenches chasing real bad guys, not innocent folks caught in the crossfire. I've seen enough bullshit in the system to know when something stinks, and this whole mess in Minnesota reeks of retaliation from the top. Let me break it down for you, step by step, because if we don't talk about it, it just keeps happening. It all kicks off with Donald Trump's return to the White House in 2025. Remember his campaign promises? Mass deportations, cracking down on sanctuary cities, going after anyone who didn't toe the line? Well, he wasn't kidding. By December, his administration launches this thing called Operation Metro Surge. Thousands of ICE agents, CBP, Border Patrol, you name it, flooding into the Twin Cities. We're talking over 2,000 masked, armed feds in unmarked vans, setting up checkpoints, raiding schools, hospitals, even libraries. And why Minnesota? Not because it's some hotbed of illegal activity. Non-citizens make up just 1.5% of the population there. No. According to the lawsuit filed by Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison on January 12th, it's pure politics. Trump lost Minnesota 3 times running, 2016, 2020, 2024, and he's pissed. He calls Governor Tim Walz a dangerously liberal extremist, blasts the state as corrupt and crooked because they didn't vote for him. Hell, he even rags on Walz for being the Democratic VP nominee last election. And Minneapolis, run by Mayor Jacob Frey, who's been vocal against Trump's immigration stunts. This surge isn't about fraud or crime, it's payback. They use this old COVID-era scam called Feeding Our Future as a pretext. Some folks defrauded meal programs for kids. Yeah, that's bad. And Minnesota's already prosecuted dozens. But the feds twist it to target the Somali community, the largest in the U.S., painting them as criminals. Trump's team calls them jihadists and terrorists in speeches, stirring up hate. Agents start profiling, stopping people who look Somali, Latino, Native American. No warrants half the time, just guns and intimidation. Businesses shut down. Immigrant-owned shops see sales drop 25 to 80% because folks are too scared to go out. Schools cancel classes, over 100 districts, 30,000 kids affected. One raid at a high school has agents pepper spraying kids. Can you believe this? In America, in 2026? Then comes January 7th. Renee Good, full name Renee Nicole Good, is driving her Honda Pilot near East 34th and Portland Avenue. She's a U.S. citizen, born and raised, a poet who loved singing and nurturing kindness, as her wife Becca put it in a heartbreaking statement to NPR News. She'd just dropped off her youngest at school. ICE agents claim their vehicle got stuck in snow, and Renee tried to weaponize her SUV to run them over. But videos tell a different story. Bystander footage, synchronized by the New York Times, shows Agent Jonathan Ross walking around her car, then circling back and firing through the windshield. 3 shots, 1 grazes her, 2 hit her body, and the fatal one right to the head, per the family-commissioned autopsy reported by NBC News. She's slumped over, dying, and agents block a doctor from helping her. "Can I check a pulse?" the doc yells, but they wave him off. Minneapolis police and firefighters finally pull her out, but it's too late. She's pronounced dead at Hennepin County Medical Center. The backlash is immediate. Thousands hit the streets that night, candles in hand, chanting, "Fuck ICE" and "Fight back." Protests swell across the country, New York, Chicago, LA, folks waving American flags, demanding the agent's arrest. Minnesota officials call it a federal invasion. Mayor Frey tells ICE to get the F out, says it's unconstitutional overreach. Governor Walz activates the National Guard, not to fight protesters, but to protect against the Fed's chaos. And get this, 4 top officials in the DOJ's Civil Rights Division resign in protest because Assistant AG Harmeet Dillon refuses to investigate Ross. According to Democracy Now! On January 13th, they saw it as a cover-up. Even the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights calls for an independent probe. But it doesn't stop there. The drama escalates. On January 24th, sources pin it around then, another shooting. Alex Pretti, a 37-year-old ICU nurse, gunned down by federal agents in Minneapolis. His parents confirm it to PBS. He was just a guy helping people through the pandemic's aftermath. Protests explode again. Sub-zero temps be damned. Thousands march to the Whipple Federal Building shouting, "ICE out!" Bruce Springsteen even drops a protest song, Streets of Minneapolis, honoring Renee and Alex, calling it state terror. And internationally, Ecuador protests after an ICE agent tries to barge into their consulate. Sepp Blatter, ex-FIFA boss, urges a boycott of the 2026 World Cup in the US over this mess. Now, let's analyze this like I would in a courtroom. First, the self-defense claim? Bull. Video analysis by CNN and ABC News shows 399 milliseconds between shots. Ross had time to assess, but he fired anyway. Ross ends up with internal bleeding per CBS News sources, but was it from the car or something else? Unclear. And the broader pattern, the Marshall Project reports at least 9 ICE shootings since Trump's surge started, all involving vehicles, all claimed as threats. But in Minnesota, it's targeted, far from any border, violating the 100-mile limit on CBP authority. The lawsuit, filed as Case 026-CV00190, spells it out. 10th Amendment violations, commandeering local resources, coercing states with funding threats, over $2 billion at risk for Minnesota. It's retaliation against free speech too, chilling criticism from officials like Walz and Frey. Equal sovereignty? Why not hit red states like Texas harder? Because this is about punishing blue strongholds. It pisses me off when power gets abused like this. I've prosecuted cops who crossed lines, and this feels like Ruby Ridge 2.0. Remember that 1992 standoff that changed federal use of force rules? NPR draws the parallel. Back then, it led to reforms. But now? Trump's team revokes sensitive locations policies, lets agents run wild. Vice President Vance claims absolute immunity for the shooter. Wrong. Agents can be prosecuted for civil rights violations. Renee's family might sue, but it's complicated under federal tort laws, as the American Immigration Council explains. And the human cost? Renee nurtured kindness, wrote poetry. Alex saved lives in the ICU. Their deaths aren't stats. They're real people, leaving kids without parents, communities traumatized. This escalates to a national crisis. Protests turn ugly with ICE firing tear gas, pepper balls. Businesses crater, public trust in feds plummets. Even some Republicans, like Senators Murkowski and Cassidy, call for investigations. It's not just immigration, it's about whether the government can weaponize agencies against its own citizens for political points. Trump wanted chaos to justify more crackdowns, label protesters domestic terrorists, but Minnesotans are fighting back, filing suits with Illinois, demanding injunctions to halt the surge. Where does it end? If we let this slide, it's open season on dissent. Minnesota's standing up, but they need the country behind them. As a former prosecutor, I say, demand transparency, push for independent probes, hold these agents accountable. Don't let fear win. If this fired you up like it does me, hit that like button, subscribe for more breakdowns on cases that matter. Share your thoughts. What do you think happens next? Stay vigilant, folks.